And a lot of people were asking about that. Yeah, so you'll likely find it in the community section on the TBJ website. And by the way, if you're watching this anywhere but TBJ website, tarotbyjanine.com, then this was pirated. Okay, this video, and there's some thieves on the channel, unfortunately. But let's have a look at, let's see. So 10 and the Hermit. Not really getting a yes. These don't, like, there's a major arcana in this row, but it's not feeling like a yes. Okay, it's not really feeling like a yes, because that 10 is kind of the end of something. It seems to take us to the end of something and maybe make it easier for truth or for us to hear truth. Okay, but I'm not really getting it as his information is a big yes. So when you watch the video, keep it in mind. I'm not really getting it as a big exactly like that. Okay, but I do get there are things that are going to bring more enlightenment, or we're just naturally, even I'd say, coming to the end of where we're being repressed, okay, by deep state and dark cult. Just think of it this way. I feel like other things are lifting that curse that keeps us dumbed down. Okay, I feel like there's been things done in the background, and that's maybe why this card's in the background, that are leading to a lot more ability to enlightenment, or ability to be closer to our God, goddess selves, our higher selves. But I don't think it's exactly what that guy's describing. But I feel like it is true that we are becoming more enlightened, and maybe not in that flash overnight, exactly how he describes it either. I think it's already happening, and it's naturally happening because of just what's going on and what's been taken out of the equation in the background. Yeah, so I'll say it that way. So in a unique way, somewhat, there's some truth there, but not exactly how he's describing it. Okay, so I'll say that. And once you find it and listen to it, yeah, it'll make more sense. And a lot of people have already watched that. I know, because a lot of people talking about it on the community page. Okay, so let's go on to, will Trump exit the scene, the stage, we'll call it, the world stage, by the end of October? Because according to some truthers who are doing the numerology, so they're numerologically decided that that's the date, the 29th to be exact. October 29th is one date being thrown around. October 30th is another date I've heard other people talking about. So what they're doing is they're using numerology and the comms. So sort of the looking at the Q posts from the past, and looking at the comms that have been put out there. And this is what some truthers have come up with. And I'm just wondering, and people in the comments were also wondering, is that actually the case? Will Trump exit where he's not in the public eye, like somehow? So could be like a fake death, could be like they just pull him off the stage somehow, and there's lots of ways they could do that. Okay, I don't believe the real Trump, just so you know, just a reminder, I don't think we're looking at real Trump for some time. If real Trump's still around, I think he's maybe being hidden. He's underground, and or certainly being looked after and hidden somewhere, or being safe somewhere. That's what I think is really happening with the real Trump. And I feel like very rarely we get to see him, maybe in photo ops, but often it's one of the three sort of doubles of actors playing Trump, or people wearing a Trump mask. Okay, and they're pretty obvious when you see them. There are three of them in particular, and they do look quite different from each other. It's fascinating. Okay, but are we not going to see Trump after the 30th of October? Is that going to be where he gets yanked off the world stage somehow? Okay, is that true? Wow, we got the major arcana first there. And now we've got a 5, though. So a 5, that's interesting. We've got the Wheel of Fortune and another major arcana. So, wow, we might get a scare. Yeah, we might get a scare. But I feel like he doesn't exit for good. Okay, so I feel like the potential of scaring us that we lost Trump, or making a lot of libs happy, or Trump haters happy. Okay, looking like there might be a Trump scare, but I don't know if they keep him off. I feel like then he comes back and there's a celebration. So if they do scare us that he's gone, I feel like it won't be too long, a couple of days maybe, or hours or days, and then they actually bring him back. And then, of course, that's also been predicted in some of those Q drops, that there's going to be this scare event necessary. Okay. Of course, we've also heard that from Juan Saban through the years, and etc., that there'll be a fake scare event where it looks like he's in a plane crash or somehow a helicopter crash. I don't know. Like, there's all kinds of ways that they could do it. All right. Okay. What else we got? Middle East peace deal. Okay, this is a good one, and it's a little convoluted, so let me explain. So you know how they're making such a big deal of this Middle East peace deal? Okay, and don't forget that, okay, I just want to maybe toot my own horn just a bit, but for a really long time and several different readings I got, and in particular on the World News with Jean-Claude, there's a public World News, by the way, on Thursday. So if you can't afford to be on the IAP, don't worry. We always repeat everything on the public Thursday World News. Okay. So good one to watch on Rumble. Okay. Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic Rumble. You want to go check that out. Thursday nights at 8 Eastern. It's free and lots of good news there. We usually cap up everything we talked about all week. Anyway. So what, now I gotta, oh yeah. So the Middle East peace deal, it seems to me, they're yupping it up way too much. I got to start over from the beginning because I'm having a senior moment. Like, what was I just saying, leading up to there? Anyway, the Middle East peace deal looks to me like, it's like a calm or a signal to watch, and it could lead into the Israeli mistake. And here's how it could. Okay. And somebody wrote this out for me, but unfortunately I didn't write it all down. So I'll just try to put it together in my own words. Here's how it could happen. Israel looked like they weren't present at the big celebrations. So they made this big deal about the peace deal. Okay. And there's been lots of ceasefires before. And who always ends the ceasefire? Usually Israel, but it always ends. Okay. So why are they making such a big deal of this as if it's going to stick around? These guys have been fighting in the Middle East for, millennia. Hundreds of years, okay, hundreds of years, about things we don't even understand, most of us, and I don't even try to understand really, because it's deep history, and none of the history we know about is real anyway, so we don't even know really what it's about. Yeah, so to me, it's like so convoluted that I try to just stay away from it, frankly. But the fact that they made such a big deal out of this, I feel like it might be setting up for what Cliff High talked about, the Israeli mistake. And I don't think we've had either we've had it already and nobody paid too much attention. That's one thing. Or in fact, because they've made a lot of mistakes, actually. Okay. But this could be another big Israeli mistake. This could be the big one Cliff was talking about. And here's how it could play out. Because they made such a big deal out of this, Netanyahu didn't even come to the big celebration, and everyone noticed, and that was noticed. Okay. And then there was even some reports of some, like activity from their end, from Israel, bombing things up some more, even after the deal, but that was all repressed in the news. Interesting. But I feel like he's going to make a really bad step. The fake Netanyahu, and by the way, that's a puppet, or that's either a capitulated Netanyahu or a mask wearing. In fact, there's been evidence that it is a mask wearer, like we've seen him with the mask on. But anyway, remember, I feel like these guys are all capitulated and are facing their tribunals. Just to remind some of the new people out there that haven't been paying attention to me, okay, for years like you other guys. Anyway, so the Netanyahu we're seeing, this capitulated guy, I feel like they're setting him up to make his move, okay? So his next play will be to go after or thoroughly break the peace deal, okay? And that'll be the Israeli mistake. And that'll give Trump permission to finally focus on coming down on Israel, because he'll come down hard on Israel. This is a potential that could happen. And I see that could happen. And then they'll call it the Israeli mistake, or that'll be what Cliff called the Israeli mistake. And it'll give the excuse for finally the US government, headed by the Trump team and or the Trump brand, White Hat Alliance, those guys, it'll give them the excuse to finally come down on Israel and actually out them as sort of the world superpower of repression that they have been. And basically they have been a really big part of what we've been calling the deep state. Okay, so is that true? And that would out Israel for all they've been doing. It would also give the Trump team a way to excommunicate from those guys, because it's been looking like they support Israel. Okay, right? So it could give them the excuse to do a flip, and it would also give the Q drops some credibility when they say they're saving Israel to last. And then it could also start or lead into what starts lockdowns and true disclosure of tribunals, etc. So anyway, if that, hope I'm making sense there. You guys know what I'm saying there? Let me know in the comments if that made sense. Okay. Is that actually what's going on? Do I have that right? So we've got the Wheel of Fortune. We've got the World. Oh my goodness. Two major arcanas. Oh my goodness, 3 major arcanas. I got a feeling this is a potential, guys. I got a feeling that this could happen. This is one of the plays they could absolutely make with those 3 major arcanas. Okay, Wheel of Fortune and the World. This would be a really, this is a big potential, and it could really move the war in a direction and even put an end to a lot of this third world, like a lot of it ties up a lot of loose ends, let's say. So there's a big potential with those 3 major arcanas that I'm on to something there in the way I described it. Okay. But the Wheel of Fortune here says, like, maybe it'll happen a little differently than I explained it, right? Like it could lead to that, and or the details. I might not have all the details exactly right. And then there's a soft yes under here. So the way, maybe the way he screws up, and they call it the Israeli mistake. Maybe that's the part I didn't get right. Anyway, and here we've got the Justice in the middle. So it gives them an excuse to really come down hard on Israel. So it does look like it's that could be a way it plays out. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Wow. And somebody sent that question in too. And I was also thinking the same thing. So that's really cool. Okay, Vietnamese so in Vietnam, a lot of bank accounts got closed down over the last week. Okay, and their bank accounts were wiped out. And we're wondering if, and the person who is asking this is wondering, are these bank accounts going to be reinstated? Are they going to get their money back? Or is this it? Did they lose all of that money, the people from Vietnam who this affected? Let's have a look. Because, if they did lose it all, this is showing us what could happen. It could happen anywhere, especially with silver going up every day and gold, and just silver going up past 50. Of course, that could lead to, and we've been talking about it, very likely leads to banks, some of them anyway, collapsing because they stay afloat by shorting silver. But let's have a look. Vietnamese people getting their bank accounts reinstated with the money in it. Okay, getting their money back. because when they shut all those bank accounts, the people couldn't get their money. Okay, so they lost all their life savings, some of them. Wow. Okay. Whoa. It really is really a lot of people did lose a lot there. Those cards are telling me. Now, this is interesting because in the past, I feel like this could be part of the theater with that card there, because it says everybody's in on it, and we've got the ace, so it certainly looks bad. Okay, it looks bad, and then there's the 4 of Swords and a soft yes. Okay, I feel like they will get their money back somehow. I don't know if the bank accounts come back or they just have to start new ones, because maybe those banks will no longer be in operation, but somehow they will. And it might take, till January before. So there's going to be a wait time, but the money didn't leave, like it feels like it's being held safely or hidden. And then, so I guess this is like, maybe they're trying out the money scare event where people lose their money and, freaks them out, and we see what happens. Like, it seems like they've been playing out various versions of what could happen all over the world in different places, almost like they're trying it out. And this is what that looks like. So they don't lose it for good. They will get it back. It might take a few months though. Wow. Okay. Wake up call, it looked like. It was a wake up call for us to be paying attention to. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Did Trump really get his boosters and vaxes up to date? So this circulated around. Somebody sent it to me a few days ago and was so alarmed. Okay, so read this, stop the video maybe and have a look at this. Okay, it actually indicates it's basically a health sort of report on, and I guess they do this on presidents. And then they mention there that he's had his COVID-19 boosters and vaccinations up to date. Okay, that just freaked a lot of people out. The first thing I thought was that's a comm or that's fake. Okay, so what we want to ask is this legit, this paper? Did a deep state operative put this paper out? Did they put this paper out as a trial balloon to see who's going to believe it or buy it, or what the response will be? Is that the White Hats doing this? Who's doing this? Who put this paper out? Is it totally just fake? Is it part of the movie, or is it actually real? Okay, what the heck's going on? Let's have a look. Part of the movie for sure, though everybody's in on it. So the doctor or whoever put it out. So this looks white hat. Okay, so they had a strategy in doing this. Okay, yep. They're trying to get people to be they're looking for the response. This is a creative way to gauge who's where, how are people thinking, how many people would find that shocking. Okay, so gauging who's awake, who isn't awake. This is a creative part of the theater and strategically put out there to understand how many people would notice even and would cry out about that, and therefore giving them an idea how many free thinking and people that would find that offensive somehow or not cool somehow for the president of the United States to have, because if you're just walking around and you don't know any of this and you don't watch any of these channels, you wouldn't even notice that. You wouldn't even care. Oh, he got us. Yeah, whatever, cares. Right. But we notice, right? So they're trying to count how many people are free thinkers. Awesome. Okay. And I'm sure they do lots of that. That was the feeling I got too. Okay, now we've got this. This one's a little wild. Okay, this is oh my goodness. I couldn't believe that I heard this. Okay, so the UK is their latest total communist move. Okay, they're an insane fake government there. Okay, and they're really pushing everybody's buttons with that digital ID and everything. And then on top of all of that, they're saying all commercial bread dough is going to be fortified they use the word fortified, with this very dangerous, and I'm using that word, they didn't say it was dangerous, this dangerous folic acid. Okay. And it's not a natural thing, even though it sounds natural. Okay. It's not a natural thing. And what they're saying is, so the government or the people saying they're going to, like, when the government's adding to your food supply, okay, it's not going to be good. Okay. You don't let your government decide what's healthy for you. We've seen their track record. Okay. This is only about money. Okay. So somebody's making a lot of money, or they're trying to kill you off. Those are the two options. Okay. And think about it. If a lot of people have cancer and or potential cancers brewing in them from they say within 4 years of especially the first and second booster and onward with boosters, but even the first and second shot could have given you turbo cancer, and it could show up at any time and then take you out within months. Okay, that's how turbo cancer works. Folic acid splits cells, apparently. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but what I understood was it splits cells, and that's really dangerous. That could really, if you had cancer already and or if cancer was growing in you. So if we got a lot of people walking around like ticking time bombs who've had all these vaxes and boosters, okay, the potential of them getting cancer is really high. That's how it looks. That's what's been proven. Okay, so it's kind of scary. And it means that possibly this would speed up their demise if they put this stuff in all bread dough. Okay, so to me, it sounded right away like fear porn. Think about it. Okay, so they're trying to push your buttons. Also, the other thing that looked like fear porn, I'm just trying to point these things out so people can be discerning. Even if they don't have tarot cards, it does sound like fear porn with or without cards. I got a feeling it is, but we're going to check with the cards. The other reason I think it might be is they're giving it till the end of 2026. Okay, so they're giving it all this time for people to yell about it. Okay, to me, and also if they're saying it's going to be done by that time, they probably have been doing it. So they're also probably outing what's already been done by the deep state. Okay, and could have even been cleaned up by the good guys by now, right? Because they're playing this movie out so we'll understand what's been done to us and what could have been done to us. Yeah, that's what I've been saying for years. Okay, so let's have a look at the whole idea that the government of the UK is going to add this thing to bread dough. Have they already been? And that's what they're trying to out. Are they really going to? What the heck's going on here? Already done it. This has already been a thing. Wheel of Fortune, and it's already turned around. So it's been part of the war. So they did it and it was already taken out. Okay, so they already did that, and they're trying to so they're playing out what was already done, but then it was reversed. So they don't have it in the bread dough anymore. Okay, and they're not going to put it in. Okay, they're just trying to show you they already had it in the bread dough, guys. They just didn't tell you about it. And they're trying to get everybody's to understand what these people would do and have been doing to us. Okay, so this is playing out part of the movie and showing you what your government, who's your real enemy, first of all, who's the real enemy in the war, and what your government's been doing all of these years. We got to look at all of these things. Anytime, think about it. So this folic acid, it's got to cost them money to add it to things, to add it across the board to all commercial bread. So if it's already been done, they've already done it. Okay. And they did it for years, probably making us sick. It's already been contributing to people's cancer and cancer growth and the speed of the cancer growth. They're saying that it helps people not get deformities, birth defects. That's what they're saying. Okay, I highly doubt if that's true, but of course they have to have a reason why they did it. So they're outing the government and showing you who your enemy is. And anytime a government, why would a government spend money to fortify things? Why would they do that? Okay, only if it's devious. Think about it. No governments, they're not in charge of that. we can't let them be in charge of stuff like that. We got to completely step away from letting governments have any kind of overreach about how our food's processed. Like as soon as, like I'm telling you, we have to have a smaller processing plants and a lot of people like a lot of disclosure in what actually goes on in those plants. And we can't let the government be the ones overseeing it anymore going forward. Like we gotta learn from these things, people. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video. Whoa, 4 of Wands. I wonder if any cards like this or this card will come up because that card's like a gateway, which would indicate, yes, they will be. JFK Jr. would be coming forward, but let's have a look. I do believe they never did die in that plane crash, by the way. That's what I consistently get. That was a faked plane crash. Okay, so we've got the Strength card and a Victory. So they're certainly waiting till the deep state is firmly been completely taken down, really. So they didn't want to be unsafe, I guess, and or for whatever reason, they were waiting till it was absolutely sure the deep state was taken down, or in a certain, in a certain place, right? Like in the demise of those scumbags. So they wanted it a certain level of assurance, I guess, that those guys weren't going to, because, it's dangerous for these people to come out. Okay, but we've got Strength, and so they want to be sure about that. That's why they're waiting. Here we've got the High Priestess, so still going forward. It's up in the air. That she's a little up in the air, and a big celebration, but a whole lot of stress. Because going forward, there's going to be so much stress around adrenochrome. Like I feel like they want this to be known first before they come trotting out, because I feel like that might take away a lot of attention away from, they definitely want the human trafficking, child trafficking, adrenochrome situation that's stressful. That big secret needs to come out. So they're waiting. So it's a timing thing. Okay, so there's not an assurance that they'll come out in 2025, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, but certainly there's things that have to happen first. Okay, so we'll say it like that. Okay, so let's have a look at Trump. Okay, this one's, okay. Okay. People are asking, is Trump secretly a Zionist? And I think I'll look at that one more time for you. This is the last time I'm going to look at it, unless some actual evidence comes out that's starting to look like. I mean, because maybe we have a Zionist Trump running around. I mean, didn't, who was it? Ben Fulford used to always say there's a dark or a deep state Trump running around. And that could be why sometimes, weirdly, Trump does really seem to defend Israel, doesn't he? Yeah, it's weird. But a lot of people have come out and explained why that is. I'm not going to go into that right now. We've looked at it in the past. But what I will ask again is there any chance that the Trump we see on the regular, okay, who's doing the public, greeting the public and talk, like, because we know that there's several actors that play Trump. Okay, so we're not seeing the real Trump, but let's see if Trump. Okay, let's do it this way. Is the original Trump? I've never asked it this way, so let's do this. The original Trump actually a Zionist? Right? So that would mean he's fooling all of us, wouldn't it? Okay, but I'm going to ask just to put this one to bed and or open a can of worms. Let's have a look. We got to keep track of everything that's going on. So do we have a Zionist Trump? the guy that's, so here's a secret card. Okay, so there's an unnecessary stress card. Okay, so that's interesting. So there's a secret reason, or a reason why that's been kept a secret. Yeah, secret reason why people might worry about that. Okay, so why he might do the things he does or says the things he does. And so, isn't this interesting? How it would appear to the public. So there's some people, they're trying to, it's supposed to appear to the general population that he might be, so that they question it. Okay, so that feels like it's the art of war. So we've got the art of war going on. There's some kind of an agreement with Israel already in the background, and I've got this for years. Okay, people forget this, that I've got this. Okay, and it's not in any way unlike somebody accused me of the other day on a Beyond Mystic show, which was very offensive to me. But it is in no way me defending the horrific things that those guys are doing. You know what I think of the Khazarian mafia. So we're not even going to say Zionist, because that gets confusing too. We're going to say the fake people that pretend that they're Jewish, that are actually, you can trace them to Khazarian mafia. So there's a lot of names for those people. Okay, but they are in fact parading around as, and often have last names that look Jewish. Okay, but they're like bloodline families that have used and hidden behind Judaism for centuries, maybe thousands of years. Those guys. Okay, and they're actually like demonic and practice Satanism. Those guys. Okay, and some people say they created this fake thing called Zionism, and they also created the state of Israel, okay, to hide in, okay, and also created a whole bunch of things and ways that makes it really hard for anybody to speak against them, or have up until now. But let me tell you, that seems to be not the case anymore. Okay, a lot of people are speaking against those people that are pretending to be Jewish. Okay, unfortunately, a lot of people are saying Jewish, okay, and lumping all of the Jewish people together. That's unfortunate, but that is not how I think about it. So I think about it as these people that have been hiding behind Judaism, and in fact created the fake sort of collection that they call Zionism. Okay, that when you look into it, that was created at some point, and it really wasn't naturally coming out of true Judaism. Anyway, but of course, I'm no expert. Of course, clearly I'm not. Okay, and you can tell by the way I'm talking about it. I really am not. So I'm not trying to offend in any way people that were born and raised who believe they're Jewish. Okay, I'm talking about Khazarian mafia, Satan worshipers who hide behind the title and the last names. They've all changed over to look Jewish. Okay, that's what they did. And at some point in history, they took on Judaism because they were told, I think it was by the Roman Empire, that they had to choose between these certain world religions at the time. And they had to choose one because everyone hated them, because they were bloodthirsty. They had blood ritual, and they were basically told they had to get in line with one of the world religions and practice that way. They couldn't practice their Satanism, but of course they just hid. So they chose Judaism and they hid behind it. And then they created this whole other sort of version of it that is very unfortunate for people that are like just good practicing Jewish people. Okay. And then of course, I believe all organized religions. So I'll go a little further and say, and even good practicing Jewish people, Christian people of every denomination of Judaism, and everybody is going to be shocked, I think, in the 2025. Remember the tower at the top that I've been getting? I feel like all organized religions are at their deep root somehow have been bastardized taken over and manipulated. So I don't really like, I'm not talking about good people who just want to be good people, but I'm saying any doctrines out there, okay, just so you know where I stand, I think have been inverted. All of them, all the doctrines on some high level. Okay, we have to be careful. And also a lot of things were misrepresented in the early writings and then recreated. And we could be mistaking a lot of things in all the organized religions as like the dominance of Elohim. Okay, so even the word Elohim, I really do think, and the cards agree, according to my cards, that that was misrepresented in the Bible, and a lot of things have to get re-looked at. So I think all organized religion needs a relook. And personally, I think if you have to belong to a controlled doctrine, something that literally tells you, oh, because you were born into that, so therefore you are, okay, I feel like, and no offense meant, but this could be offensive to a lot of people. I feel like that's very much kindergarten religious, or sorry, spiritually. Spirituality is an individual pursuit that is done with you and your soul essence, okay, and isn't about anybody's doctrine passed down. Okay, I got no respect for doctrines, and that's just me, because they were all messed with, and that's putting it mildly. So I don't trust any of them, and that's just me. Okay, so just so you know where I'm coming from on it, and you can think however you like about it. But so if I share things that rips down organized religions of every kind, then, you know, that's what I do, because I don't believe in any of them. But I'm not personally against anybody if that's where they're at with it, okay? As long as they're good people and mean well for others, okay? That you're okay with me, okay? But I'm just not buying anybody's doctrine, okay? So just so you know where I'm sitting with it. Anyway, and so I'm not going to apologize for sharing other people's views that have the right idea, but unfortunately could be lumping, like in their language, they're using the word Jewish people, okay? And they're not saying how I prefix it, okay, with what I mean is Khazarian Mafia. So they're not saying that, but a lot of them mean that. Okay, so if it's offensive, things are going to get a lot more offensive. So I'm just saying, across the board on all doctrines, and everybody's officialdom is going to come apart and be ripped to shreds in the coming year, okay? Everybody's idea about who God is, what God is. If you actually think God energy is like a male, okay, in the sky and lords over and watches, and like, if you actually think that's true, okay, it's all, things are going to get a little rough in 2025, okay? Anyway, because we have to get more sophisticated with our understanding of energy, okay, and what's been done to us in our history. It's all been fed to us, and just because you were born into something, in my humble opinion, doesn't mean you have to keep following it. You need to actually check in with your own soul essence to see if that's true or not. Okay, I love my parents, but they were devout Catholics, and that means they weren't that bright. I'm sorry, but like, look into it. Catholicism's, oh, man, right? Look at all the stuff they've been up to. You know what I mean? Because they all revert back to the Pope. I mean, that right there, if the head of your club that you belong to is a pedophile and a child trafficker, and everything about the way it's presented is inverted, and really what they're doing is demonic, but you're still okay to call yourself a Catholic, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. You're not that bright. Okay, I'm sorry. And you're not looking into stuff. Okay, so there's a way to be spiritually connected that doesn't have to belong to any clubs, because all of the clubs look like they were inverted, and they're all just deep covers for trafficking and crimes against humanity. And that's all of them. I don't care which one, you name it, they're all suspect to me. Okay, so individual spiritual searching is your only course of action, in my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. Okay, so just so everybody knows, because I get so many emails about this stuff. Okay, and I just wanted everybody to know where I sit with it, but you can sit however you want with it, but just so you know what I'm saying. Okay, so here we've got, anyway, so what was I talking about? He's secretly not a Zionist. Okay. No, he's not. Okay, but it does look like he's going to use how this is the art of war that's going on. He's going to use it, and something happened in the background with Israel, okay, that actually has been agreed upon. We don't know about it yet, but it's going to be part of going forward, some of that tower, I think that happens. Something already happened. And when it gets revealed, I feel like we'll really more understand why some of the stuff he says. Okay, so that's what I do. I have got that in the past, so I'm going to leave it there. And so you guys, don't ask me if Trump's a Zionist unless some actual proof starts coming back up. If it's just that he says things for Israel, I feel like, yeah, this is how it appears. So it appears that, so he says things that are suspicious, but he's using them in the art of war. So down the road, I feel like that will become obvious why he's doing that. And something's gone on in the background where they've capitulated, just like a lot of other governments have capitulated. So yeah, that's a tricky situation, because that's the head of, like, really, Israel would be the head of the snake, really. That would be where the biggest Khazarian mafia would be, hanging out. Something's gone on there, and I think years ago, that we still don't know about. And maybe that's why Q said Israel will be last. We'll hear about that last. And that's what that looked like, that card reading. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, somebody was saying that, Tom Numbers was saying that maybe something happened in the background, and we're going to have a smooth transition of outing of the secrets and not a big EBS. It'll be slow and safer. And maybe they've stepped away from thinking they need the EBS, so emergency broadcast system. So in 2025, are they going to roll out the EB? Is that still in the plan? Is that a possibility? What kind of percentage of a possibility is it? Or have they totally kicked that to the curb? Okay, because that'll be disappointing if they have. I love an EBS, let me tell you. Okay, but I don't know. This is war. So they move. They change the game board. They changed the game board right on election day on a lot of things in the background. Maybe this is one of the fallouts of that, but I don't know for sure. Let's have a look. Wow. Okay, so it does look like it's a possibility still. That's not right off the board. And it'll depend on as things crumble. And so that tower is like a staple here in the coming year. The year could be even identified as the tower year. This is a tower year. The system's coming down. All the systems are coming down. So they're going to be watching and gauging. So I would not say it's off the table. I would say they're going to keep checking in, and they're going to keep looking at people's moods. What's the mood? Okay. And what would be the best way? They're trying to keep everybody as far away from the ledge as possible, because while this is happening, a lot of people will be on the ledge. Okay. And going over the ledge. Okay. So they're going to try to minimize the damage and I feel like maybe they're thinking potentially the EBS could, push people right over the edge. So I feel like they're going to just keep gauging it. And so I don't think it's a no. It's not no, they won't have it, but it's more like we'll just keep watching, which actually has kind of been the answer for quite a while now. In a way, it's kind of been the answer. I mean, it keeps looking like they're going to have it, and then they feel like they back off of it for safety reasons. Okay, now I got 2 more questions to ask, and these are kind of big ones. Are the white hats still operating for the people? Might as well ask it. It's the end of the year here, so let's just get that one under our belt. I mean, my feeling is yes, but I haven't asked the question with the cards for a long time, so let's have a look. I mean, maybe they've been infiltrated. I don't know. Let's have a look. White hats, are they still working for the good of the humans? Are some of them bad? Are all of them bad? Are some of them... Yeah. What do we got? What kind of percentage? So here we've got well, we definitely got... That's a safety card, and while everybody's looking, so they're still doing the psyops and keeping us busy with some of the movie. I know that the theater part for sure is the politics of it, all the politics all over the world. That's insane. That's theater, and it's unfortunate because it makes people so angry and it gets us so upset, but that's your decision if you want to get angry and upset about it. Okay, I believe politics has always been... Oh, here we go with the tower again. Okay, so as things crumble here, so this is what everybody's seeing. Meanwhile, here's what the white hats are doing. Okay, they're still on plan. Something did change, so they're having to plan on their feet. Something came along about 4, that could have been weeks ago, that could have been months ago, or in the last 4 weeks or months, okay, that did cause them to move in a new direction. And it was maybe even surprising to them. And I've been getting that. And then they had lots of meetings right around the time Trump got in. Okay, it wasn't necessarily bad or good. It was just a different element. And then the cards aren't really telling us what the element is. Okay, it just says something came along and surprised them. And the game plan changed. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords and the Magician. Okay, so it also stretched out how long they're going to have to play out the theater. Okay, so that they now believe they have to keep the theater going for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what I'm getting. Okay, and here we've got... So yes, they're definitely okay with humans, but they're going in new directions. Okay, here's the overview. Okay, so but it's absolutely, they're working on behalf of humanity. 80% here. Some of it you might not agree with, that's for sure. Lots of people actually don't agree with their take on things. The fact that they're psyoping us. Okay, a lot of people do not like that. And I get that. But they're just trying to be really creative with how they do their work. That's what I get. So yeah. White hats are still on our side. Okay, now, what is the strength? So my last question here, what is the strength of the Khazarian Mafia? Okay. What is there, like, what do we got to worry about? Ooh, this one came. That's a page, if anything like that shows up in this spread, it will make sense. A page is kind of weak, like it's the beginning of, or just a small amount of, like, so knights are bigger, like queens are even more powerful and kings are the most powerful. And it's not like you could be a female and be considered a king. It's only in a measure of your power. Okay, I'm only talking about it in power measurements. Right, how the tarot talks about it. And that was the page. Okay, so that looks like they might be weak, but let's make sure. And I've got for years that they're just getting weaker and weaker. Fools, the Fool, let's see. Is it badly aspected or well aspected? So far, it's kind of neutral. Wishy-washy. Okay. Okay. I would say the woo community is a lot stronger than the Khazarian Mafia. The Khazarian Mafia, actually, I'm getting who's left of them are probably trying to get the hell out of here. Or trying to hide underground. Like they feel like they're at a standstill in their possibilities here. And going forward, really weak. That's a weak card. And mostly they have gossip and innuendo. I don't even think they got the wherewithal to pull off a big blue beam, Project Blue Beam. If anything like that happens, it'll be the white hats for some reason doing it. It's not going to be the bad guy. The bad guys don't have any oomph really whatsoever, which basically I've been getting for quite a while. Okay, so we've got the Wheel of Fortune and we've got the 8. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune and the 8. Some big turnaround. Unexpected. So there's that unexpected turnaround that really stopped them in their tracks. So something happened around, I feel like it was November 5th. Remember when I felt that big shift? Something happened and it absolutely, stopped them in their tracks. Yeah. Wow. I think it was all the people. I feel like the Khazarian Mafia or the people that were trying to shut down the election, for instance, because that would be a big gauge on how much power they still have left, right? They weren't able to. And everybody noticed everything and yelled about it on social media. And they, no matter what they did, like that saying, it was too big to rig. I feel like they had no idea they were that hooped until that day when none of their shenanigans worked. Not a single one of their little plans worked. Everything backfired. I feel like that really set them back. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video. And sending you all ravens. Have a wonderful season, whatever you do in this time of year. For me, it's just going to be a social time. I'm definitely not celebrating on the day because now I understand the dates, for the deep state and or the Khazarian Mafia, the Elohim cult or whatever. They might have stake in, like there's some kind of big ritual right around Christmas that's really deep and dark. And even trees are celebrating it. So having a tree in your house. So I do have a tree in my house, but I've done different things with how I adorned it. And I put a feather on top and smudged it and took that energy away from it, what it used to mean. And I didn't put the wreath around it and the things that they do. And I'm not using the colors that I think would be associated with the ritual. What I'm doing with our Christmas season here, I'm sort of trying to create my own ritual around this time of year, since everyone does come together and it's a good time or an excuse to, but I'm moving everything sort of a day after or a day before and not giving that energy on the day. And then as the years go by with my family, we're going to decide how we're going to create this time of year. Recreate it. We're going to see what we're going to do with it, but we're going to create our own rituals because we have to start from scratch. When we learn these things, it doesn't mean you don't get to, if this is your favorite time of year, or at least a time when you can come together with family because everybody else is getting together, it doesn't mean you have to just drop it and be like bah humbug, but you can undo those spells and do your own thing with it. And that's what I'm planning to do. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you guys and sending you all ravens. Wow, we've got the Judgment card. So there's a wake-up call. Whoa, and that's the Woo card. She's a wooster. Wow, isn't that interesting? Okay, so it was definitely coming from a deep state plan. Okay, so we asked about the white hats. This indicates sovereignty for the people. So I'd say White Hat and Alliance, but pretty woo. Okay, that's pretty woo. So that's really interesting. Let me just keep looking. But so originally, a lot of these drones were created by deep state governments. Okay, just like I was saying, because here's where they come from. That's the past in my reading. This is the current situation. A whole lot of hearsay out there, and people are saying things that just aren't true. So we still haven't got to the bottom of it. It looks like with the judgment card, it's absolutely a call to move us in a direction. Like judgment wants to wake up the sleepers, but this is interesting because now we've got this woo element over here. Let's keep looking. Okay, there. Let's get that up a little. See if that doesn't help. So waking up and also leading. So these drones, I feel like, are largely operated by White Hat, because the White Hat card comes up as judgment. So that means they really want to, first of all, get the jump on the explanation or get the jump on the narrative, taking it out of the bad guy's hands into their hands. Secondly, it's a major arcana, so they're a major component, but there's also some woo people flying around drones. It's like there's more than just white hats out there. There's also some woo people, so people that maybe also create drones, also have technology beyond what we know, and are showing off their skills. I feel like everybody got in on this. When the drones started showing up, everybody took advantage of the situation and got their drones out, okay? And that includes maybe even a group of an element of people that are building them, not with White Hat Alliance input and not with deep state input, just doing their own thing because they happen to know. So maybe they're a rogue element of some woo out there people that are independently doing it. So we've got that, but they're not as big. The biggest element, so the most amount of drones is from the White Hat Alliance. And it looks like they took it out of the hands of the deep state, which would make sense that the deep state, people are all talking about, oh, it's their deep state. They're like the bad guys. They're the dark hats. Okay, well, they built them originally, or they're the ones that have been hiding this technology from us, but I don't think they're actually the ones flying them right now. That's White Hat Alliance. Deep state are if you think Biden's government's flying these drones, no way. These guys are, so the stories about, oh, they're sniffing out, we're going to have to ask, did the White Hat Alliance bring them out to sniff out for this lost, supposedly some, I forget what it was, but it's a dangerous substance, some canisters of a dangerous substance that could make really lethal bombs, okay, or something, or be really lethal to humanity, got stolen, lost in transit, really? Okay, but I don't know. Maybe that's true. Are these drones sniffing them out? But I will say, to answer the question, this is mostly White Hat Alliance taken out of the hands of the deep state and maybe taken over their agenda. So the agenda was to have these things everywhere, and they were going to do their whole, oh, let's lock everybody down because now we got a drone situation. But I feel like right now it's being used by the White Hats. Now, whether they're going to lock us down because of it, not really looking like that. Okay, I don't think they could get away with locking people down again. I think people are going to tell them where to go with the lockdowns. Okay, so I'm not really getting the outcome is they're going to lock people down. That's not what it is. They want more information, so they want to control and direct information. Maybe they want to slow down the information about who owns what and how much our government really knew about it. They want to bring it out, but they want to do it on their own terms. So it's not like they're lying per se. We don't have a manipulation card here. We do have, their intention is to bring out the information, but they want to do it their way, okay, out of the hands of these guys who would have used it to make a narration of reason why we have to take more of your laws away, probably, right? Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's the plan here, and that's a good thing, okay? But we have this interesting rogue element of energies flying these things around who've built them. I don't know what companies these people are or whatever, but they're not deep state and they're not white hat. They're much smaller, mind you, but the main element that's flying around that people are getting the pictures of, the SUV sized, those are actually white hat alliance, likely taken out of the hands of maybe quite a while ago, the deep state governments who were building these things and hiding them on us. Okay, so now they're in the hands of the white hats. Okay, and they are kind of trying to be controlling with the information, yes, but they do intend to bring out the information. And I'm not cutting them slack on that. I'm just saying what I'm getting in the cards. Okay, so here we've got the 6 of Cups. So the next thing that happens, so the 6, this is what we'll see. We will likely see some kind of a connection where you get like, it doesn't look like it escalates into violence, which is interesting. This is like a friendly card where something happens that feels like it takes down a notch the fear factor around the drones, and maybe even provide some kind of an explanation for them that feels friendlier, or they back down energetically where they're feeling like they're threatening people. I feel like something's about to happen that feels like it takes the edge off all of this crazy around these drones, which is a good thing because, I feel like that's probably a good thing, right? Okay, so here we've got the death card. Yep. So we're moving in a direction of slowly but surely information coming out about how much. This is about technology and reveals. So the technology was going to be revealed, or I don't think revealed, more like used against us by the deep state government. Okay, the deep state government's capitulated, and we've got a sort of a hidden background government that's been doing their thing here in the background for 4 years, run by the military / with Trump sort of heading it, okay, as a head and certainly a figurehead. I get him more like a brand at this point, but anyway, maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just how I get it. So it's very convoluted, and there's a lot of layers here. So people just can't simply say, oh, it's all just government trying to, yeah, that was the element for sure. Now the white hats are outing that plan, okay, like they've been outing all of the dirty government plans. Okay, so they just outed that one. It doesn't lead to a lockdown from what I get. Okay, but people are talking about that. I don't get it does. Certainly not the bad kind of lockdown where they take away all your privileges again and laws again. I feel like it's more of a reveal, and revealing and getting everybody up to speed. Also getting people to look into how your government manipulates things, right? See, this is more like, it's like a gift from White Hat Alliance. That's the Trump team card. It's like a gift from them to get you to understand physically what physically is available to humanity. And now the whole time, though, there's a bunch of actual ET energies around, non-human energies. There's that. So now we got to move into that, because this drone thing, that's a whole different thing than the ET element I was picking up on, that's literally trying to break through all of this fog and get directly in connection with humans. That's interesting. So let's look at that. And it felt like that was coming from the mothership that was orbiting the moon. Remember, it was with the moon, orbiting around with the moon for those couple of months, although barely seen. People could barely see it, but I feel like it probably knows how to cloak when it needs to cloak. I feel like that mothership is sending out energies, because I was picking up on it, and some other psychic people are picking up on messages from those entities. It's quite interesting. I feel like they're seeking people to talk to through, okay, who can understand or channel what their intention is. These are good ones, by the way. I don't necessarily get them as bad ones. I get them as non-harmful to humans. But they kind of had a bone to pick with our governments, which makes sense, because they've been misrepresented and or ill-treated by, and or like we had the Three of Swords around them. So they've long been, well, maybe even not being known to humanity, and like our governments covering up for their existence. Maybe they're finished with that. That's what it felt like. They were done being misrepresented by governments. Okay, and they just wanted to, well, why not go? Somebody wrote in the comments, oh, that makes them dangerous if they want to go right to the people. Why on earth is that? We are powerful beings. We created supposedly our government, or that's the facade the government was created under, that we choose them, which of course we know that that isn't true. But I mean, a lot of normies think they choose their governments. Do you know what I mean? Right? So governments are supposed to speak for people. So in what reality is these energies who can't seem to bust through the government fakery around them and a silence around them to get directly to people? How is that making them dangerous? I feel like they've been damn polite about it, frankly, honestly. Yeah. So, and I know there's bad ones that aren't polite about things. No, I know that. And possibly even, the deep state and all the really gross upper echelons going up from deep state, Khazarian mafia, the bosses of those energies that really are the overlords, they're really bad ETs. Okay, I believe that with all my heart. Okay, I feel like a lot of the drawings of what were the scary sort of entities, that humans have been afraid of, since really early days in humanity and recorded in human history, are likely ET related. The drawings you see that are, of these scary creatures. For instance, just look at what the Hopis, presented as these, energies, spirit energies, Hopi dancers, sort of spirit energies. What were those? Okay, they're probably ETs. Okay, but they used, their own way of artistic expression to represent them, and people mistake these dancers, so they make these energies that look really scary, but they mistook them for Hopis dressing up like that, when in fact they're actually energies that came into the Hopi culture and scared the shit out of them. Like, anyway, but there's lots of indigenous stories, and indigenous peoples from all over the world have stories about creatures that came, sky creatures and stuff. What do you think they're talking about? ETs. Okay, and even if they didn't literally come from the sky, it appears that they do. Okay, so they might come from other places, but they seem to come from craft that can fly. Equals people assume that they're from outer space. Okay, and that's still another thing we still have to figure out, all that outer space stuff. Okay, anyway, I digress. Okay, now we're going to look at how much of the energies people are picking up on that aren't drones. So we're not talking about things that look like drones. That's a whole different thing. A lot of flying objects are being recorded. How much of that people are seeing in the skies at night all over the world now, how much of that is ET related? And we'll just call them ETs for lack of a better word. Let's just say ETs. And what I mean is, other than human run craft and not made by our governments, any governments in the world's craft. So made non-human made. Okay. How much of those energies people are filming and seeing and, catching glimpses of, et cetera, and telling stories about, how much of that right now that's been going on since beginning of December is ET? Any of it? Is it all just that drone activity? What do we got? Okay, here's what I keep getting, and so I'll just repeat it. They want to be known. So yes, we've got lots of it is ET. You bet. Look at that. And it's the good ETs too. And Alliance knows about them, or maybe they're even our future selves, which makes them seem like ETs. Okay, so energies. So I always get this card as the Alliance. So in other words, what the Alliance could be is what I think maybe they are. I've kind of pieced it together. Correct me if I could be off on this, but it feels like the Alliance is an advanced version of humanity. And maybe they're even those ones, Jean-Claude's talked about this and with several guests, that left the planet and now they're back because they know the future, because timelines don't work the way we think they do. It's not a linear thing. And they've, looped around on time and seen what is to come for humanity. And I feel like they're back here helping. They helped organize the White Hats. They give advice to the White Hats. Okay. So I feel like some of these energies, and maybe not all of them are Alliance. Maybe now we're also talking about another group that is also our future selves, or in a more advanced version of humanity, maybe. Okay. But certainly very advanced beings, let's say that, and maybe this lifetime human. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Because maybe they haven't been living, maybe not non-Earth, let's say. Okay, so they haven't been living on Earth. They created ways to be in their crafts, maybe, or they've been living other places other than Earth. Okay, because I did ask ET, I said ET, and this card came up, so it's in the past. So they might have been Earthlings at some point, and then advanced technology took them elsewhere, and now they're actually from somewhere else. Is it somewhere else on Earth that we don't know about, that we don't call Earth? Is it like other worlds that are floating around out there? We don't know. Okay, I don't know that for sure, but let's just say this. Advanced beings that don't mean harm to humanity are certainly part of the element people are picking up on. And like I was getting, they feel it's karmic and timely that they're known right now. Okay. And see that 6, they want to introduce themselves. 6 is like a victory lap. They want to take a victory lap and go, hey, this is what you can look forward to. This is where humanity gets to, maybe. Or some of you, when you evolve, this is what you turn into. Or like lifetimes and lifetimes later, this is what you're going to look like. Or I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but they're trying to tell us something positive about, and maybe even show us what the future, or that the future could be bright, especially if we do things a certain way. But they believe it's timely and karmic to do that. And they're fed up with the government repressing them. And this could also be an element of really advanced beings, okay, that live here on Earth with us. but we wouldn't call them human because they're so advanced. They don't look or feel like us, okay, or they don't behave like us, or maybe they have the ability because they're using advanced evolved powers or whatever. And I believe we can all get really advanced too, and they can shape shift and stuff. And I'm not talking about the reptilians. I'm talking about really positive ones, okay, that are among us. I've actually met a few energies where somebody would come up and talk to me and then sort of disappear in thin air. And they would appear human, but there was something weird about them. And then I'd turn around, and so they show up giving me really profound advice. That's happened several times, actually, especially when I was really involved in understanding myself spiritually and just getting connected and getting away from Christianity and really understanding my true nature and my spirit self and studying astrology and tarot. These beings, I'd meet them, and some people would have called them guides, but I felt like they were literally amongst us, but cloaked, and then just would uncloak, say something to me, shapeshifters. And I feel like that's what we got here. So those guys are around, and they want to introduce themselves, you guys. Okay, so they're also part of this. So the melee thing or whatever, I guess there's lots of ways you could say the word. So I have to say melee that's going on is a whole bunch of things all at once. It's not just, and I feel like this energy might have surprised. So Trump and the White Hats had something planned with these drones. But then these guys also decided at the same time, maybe even to take advantage of everybody looking in the skies and photographing and getting all into it. I feel like maybe they even are trying to take advantage of, okay, there's a lot of activity here, so let's make ourselves known now. Maybe they thought it was a good time or something, because the victory card shows me that maybe they do think this is the time to do it, right? And this is a karmic and timely, and this card definitely wants to be known. Okay, so that's certainly something. Here we've got the Two of Pentacles. Okay, so things are it feels like it might have been a bad time. Like they thought it was a good time. I'm not sure the White Hats think it's a good time. Because this card's like, maybe they interrupted some plan or kind of set everything a little on its heel or something. It feels like things get a little wonky out there. And because the next thing that happens, this is a little like, things are a little wonky and confusing, even more confusing than they already seem. And see, we've got this Four of Wands, and we've got so there is going to be a breakthrough though. And I do feel like it might a woman is going to have an experience. This feels like a woman, a very grounded woman. So somebody who is not afraid of ET energy is going to have a breakthrough moment with an ET and get some information for us and come back and tell us what she got. And some people, this is coming, so I don't think it's that person that already had that experience. It's somebody else, I feel like, because this has not happened yet. Okay, so just so you know, we're December 17th and it hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. I feel like between now and January, we're going to have somebody with a really good account of an interaction with these ETs, and they'll give us some info. And it's not the person that said, oh, they just wanted to say, Jesus loves you or whatever that was. Like, I don't feel like it'll come with those kind of a message. Okay, I feel like ETs are going to relate differently, like just my opinion, but and also this says it's coming in the future. Okay, so coming soon, but not here yet. Okay, so now we've got the Three of Swords and we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so we've got the Three of Swords, so an old hurt. So revisiting or wanting to heal the wounds from the past. So this card wants to heal the wounds from the past. And and really catapults us. So when this gets known, or a story that gets revealed from these ETs finally does get known to humanity, I feel like they're going to tell us about our true history, and a lot of people will really change. I feel like we'll see a lot of people changing their ideas about life very quickly, having to, like the ones that are versatile mentally, are going to have to really change their opinions about things. They're going to have to catch up. They're going to have the Wheel of Fortune. It's going to send humanity in a direction that's completely different than people thought. We're going to find something out about that's hurtful about our past. Maybe the way we were treated, how we were enslaved in the first place, who enslaved us, something. And I feel like as that's revealed, and that's maybe why the white hats are so careful with this information, as it's revealed, it'll really, really, like, people will react really strange. And that could, like, all kinds of ways, not just one way. So some people will want to kill themselves, maybe, like Cliff High was picking that up. Maybe some of that, maybe some people will, not want to be in society the way it exists, because it's all built on a lie and slavery. Okay, a lot of us truthers have been through that as it is. Like a lot of things people could go in very different directions, which also the word melee or whatever describes, where nobody wants anything to do with officialdom anymore, because they see that it was all created to fool us in the first place, kind of thing. Well, we're kind of headed that way anyway. So humanity heads in a totally different direction because of this connection that's happening. And as it unfolds here in the coming days and months, weeks, months, that's what I'm getting around it. So meanwhile, there's a whole different thing going on with the white hats and the drones. And I feel like they're exposing technology to us and the lies of our government, as they've been doing all along. And I don't get it'll lead to big lockdowns or getting fooled again by governments, because the White Hat Alliance are actually in charge. And I'm not saying they do everything the way I like them to, but I'm just saying they're not against humanity, at least. They're for the betterment of humanity, in my opinion anyway, so far what I'm getting. Okay. Wow. Well, that's a mouthful, but it's so convoluted. Like it's hard to understand it. I get it. I might have just confused you even more, but I just needed to say there's 3 elements here, maybe even 4 actually at this point, because add that other element of the rogue sort of intuitive energies, people's, a whole nother group building these things as well on top of the government. So there's not just one kind of drone out there, you guys. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on all at the same time. And it's ramping up and getting pretty interesting. Okay, so let's look at this Pope ritual. So the fake Pope, again, the Vatican was capitulated. Okay, that's what I was getting. That's what I'm getting. So when I read things like the Pope, who I know is rounded up a whole long time ago, okay, and you can see that it's not the real Pope. You can also see that they've been using CGI with supposed addresses from the Pope. Okay, that was proven years ago when they had one of his addresses supposedly out some window where he was flickering off and on. I think they did it on purpose to let everybody know this is fake, guys. Hello, those guys were rounded up. I feel like the Vatican is not being run by the demonic club that used to run it. Okay, it's definitely a demonic club, but it's not being run by the same folks. Okay, it's being outed, and they're using it. Who knows for what? Who knows? And they're probably still cleaning out some of the tunnels under there. Okay, so let's have a look at this ritual. So there's a ritual starting Christmas Eve, apparently. and it sounds totally demonic. So if you really listen, it sounds like they're just outing how demonic these guys are. Okay. Because there's a lot of Christians that still like actually look up to this. Like, it's so absurd, really, when you think about it. If you're like a good person and religious, and but you look at the Pope and you don't see that maybe there's something wrong with the decadence. Maybe you haven't done any research on popes. Look at the history of how they were created, why they were created, and what kind of wealth and debauchery went on with. And do you think that just ended all of a sudden? They got really spiritual. Oh, they were all debauched scumbags. Okay, so they likely still are. Like, what? They all of a sudden turned pious? I don't think so, right? These guys are powerful as all you know what. And they have their own bank and everything. These guys are overlords, man. These guys are like absolute traffickers, arms dealers. Why do you think the royal family, who's supposed to, not even Catholic, by the way, okay, so members of the royal family go visit the Pope. Okay, what? Because they're talking business, okay? Trafficking, that's royal family business. And so's, that's the British royal family's business. For years it was and arms dealing. You bet. Yeah, they're like reptilian creepy creeps. Like, they're like hybrids. They're not actually human. Or hybrids took over the bodies of people that you could call the royal family. Okay, that's actually how I think it works. They actually go in through the eye and completely take over and just use the facade of. That's why kids used to run away from the Queen. There's video footage of little kids that can see through, sort of like they're still spiritually in touch enough to see through this kind of stuff, right? So they'll see the real essence of the Queen and stuff, okay? And they'll see that there's some entity, in the place of the Queen. Okay, maybe even when she was little and young and growing up, she was a nice person, even for all we know. We don't know for sure, right? And then at some point, sometime right around her marriage, or even before that, maybe, and when she, because in her marriage, early days, with her horrifying, creepy husband, who I think was a creep right from the get-go, but anyway, that's just my opinion. But that guy, so they go to Canada, and what happens? 10 Indigenous kids disappear, and there's a big cover-up about it. Okay, they literally trafficked 10. They went there and hand-picked 10 Indigenous children from British Columbia, from one of those horrifying schools that they, like the Crown, created, okay, to traffic kids, of course, right? And we know how much they like Indigenous children from all over the world. Those are their favorite, for adrenochrome, etc. And who knows what happened to those 10 kids. It's just a horrifying story. It's never been dealt with. Nobody talks about it, right? Except a truther community. And of course, that one fellow, I forget his name now, but he's amazing. That's been yelling about it for years. That Canadian guy used to be a preacher of some kind. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The Pope plans ritual for Christmas Eve. What's really going on there? We're safe from these guys' evil because I believe they're spellcasters, and every time they do a mass above ground, they're actually performing a black mass, or like deep, dark magic mass, bad magic, below. Okay, so obviously I think now they're actually, so I feel like the White Hat Alliance are now outing these guys. So even the fact that they're saying they're going to do this ritual, using the word ritual as well, and these series of rituals on Christmas Eve, which is, by the way, one of the biggest black magic nights of the year, Halloween, Christmas, and we're all celebrating it with them together. Right? We're all like celebrating Christmas together. All of that are their biggest ritual times. Okay. Bad, like we're talking the deep state, the dark cult, the Khazarian mafia, Canaanites. Okay. All the names. Okay. These are all parts of the same, the bad guys that overlorded the earth. Okay. So they definitely use Christmas Mass as a big ritual to spell cast and put their intentions out there for another year. So now they've outed it, that it's actually a ritual. It's going to start on Christmas Eve. I think they're actually exposing what these guys do anyway. So they're very lightly masking over the real truth of what these guys do. So I feel like it's an exposure to get everybody actually worried that maybe these guys are dark magic doers. Okay. And that we need to be concerned. We need to be concerned. So they're looking for concern from people and not just acceptance. Also, they're, really going to be outing that, like they're preparing lots of outing where you understand what they've been doing to kids. Vatican, famous trafficking area, and what goes on underneath the Vatican, and just the pedophilia and trafficking kids through and underneath there. And it's been covered up for years and years, but that place is a huge trafficking hub, okay, or has been. Okay, so I feel like they're trying to get people to look into what they're so resistant to look into, what's been being done with children. And that the Vatican would be completely in on it. Okay, and that includes, if you guys haven't been listening to me for long, Mother Teresa, okay, was a guy, not even a trans, like this is just dressed like a woman, okay, just a guy dressed like a woman who was one of the biggest traffickers for the Vatican, and it was in fact originally a Jesuit, which they're the biggest scumbags. Like they're just a big cover up for the Canaanites. Okay, the Jesuits, they're the black witches for the Canaanites. But anyway, we can go on and on. But yeah, this is an outing of their ritual and gets you looking into, and it prepares people. So slowly they're putting it in your mind. There's something kind of off with these guys. Why are they doing like weird rituals and series of rituals? Like people, even though they might not literally click, something's clicking back here in their intuitive knowing that there's something weird about the language being used about these, and also what they'll see in what appears to be the ritual. All of it is for you to wake up. Right, that these guys spell cast. So they actually put one on display for you. It's probably what they usually do, except it's all acted out because these guys are not around anymore. Okay, that's the good news. The popes aren't around. They gathered up the Pope and all his minions a whole long time ago, all those cardinals, bunch of pedophile scumbags. They gathered those guys up a long time ago. They're probably still dealing with them. Okay, so I know I'm being lengthy about things, but I really think a lot of things have to get sort of clarified here. It's getting so convoluted that I can't just whip through a bunch of questions because things have so many layers right now. It's just, and then also we've got lots of new people watching who I can't just touch the surface and know that you guys will know, because you should see the emails I get. They don't even have a clue what I'm talking about. And it's like, oh my God, okay, I got to start from the beginning. So when I explain things, unfortunately, I'm going to have to be lengthy about it. Yeah, so I just worked myself right. I'm tired now, so I'm going to have to leave it there. But hopefully I was helpful. And I love you guys, sending you all ravens. And I'll be back on in a few days doing another one of these. Okay, bye.
Cân lượng của mình tới đâu đã chứ? Bên này phải xem thử Hoàng đế Chính Đức nghĩ ra sao, xem hắn có đồng ý thả người hay không. Dương Lăng còn đang trù trừ, Cao Văn Lan thấy y do dự, bèn quỳ sụp xuống đất liên tục cầu khẩn. Đại nhân, van người cứu muội muội tiểu nữ. Nàng đọc sách, biết lễ, là người thiện lương, đã cứu không ít bệnh nhân trong vòng 10 dặm quanh đây, luôn luôn làm việc thiện. Cầu xin đại nhân cứu nàng. Cao Văn An dập đầu liên tục, chiếc trán mịn màng đã dâng máu. Ấu Nương thấy vậy càng thêm không đành lòng cầu khẩn. Tướng công, danh tiết thiếu nữ là chuyện lớn, sao mà người ta lại có thể làm như vậy với một nữ hài nhi như thế? Tướng công, chúng ta đã ở đây rồi, cũng là có duyên phận, sao lại thấy chết mà không cứu được? Dương Lăng hít vào một hơi, lòng thầm cười khổ. Nhà đầu ngốc, tại ngươi nghĩ rằng tướng công rất có bản lĩnh. Hoàng đế Hoàng Tri tuổi thọ đã hết rồi, ai chẳng biết mấy vị thái y chết oan. Nhưng văn võ cả triều không một ai dám ra mặt cầu tình. Mấy tên ngự sử ấy còn thượng tấu chương yêu cầu nghiêm trị những người có liên quan nữa là. Với lại đến giờ đã qua 3 ngày rồi, nếu Cao Tiểu Thư không chịu khuất phục, e rằng sớm đã từ từ chết mất rồi còn đâu. Nếu nàng sợ chết khuất phục, bây giờ chẳng biết đã đem thân tiếp bao nhiêu người khách rồi, có cứu cũng đã muộn. Nếu nàng đã rơi vào hoàn cảnh như vậy, nàng còn chịu trở về gặp lại thân nhân và gia nhân cũ của mình sao? Dương Lăng suy nghĩ trong lòng như thế, ngẩng đầu lên thấy Ấu Nương và Ngọc Tỷ Nhi, Tuyết Lý Mai đang tha thiết chờ đợi, ánh mắt tín nhiệm vô hạn. Lại thấy thiếu nữ vẫn không ngừng dập đầu, trán đầy những vết máu loang đổ. Y không phải thở dài một tiếng, dậm chân liên tục nói: Được, ta đi, các cô ở nhà đợi ta, lập tức vào thành đi giáo phường ti. Dương Lăng vội vàng đi tới chỗ đóng quân, gọi 4 thị vệ mang đao lên ngựa lao về phía kinh thành. Con đường thông thôn uốn lượn liên tục, ngựa không chạy nhanh được, mất cả buổi y mới dễ được ra quan đạo. Phải làm sao để cứu người được? Nếu đây là thủ đoạn xuất phát từ sự trả thù của hoàng đế chính đức mà mình tùy tiện cứu người ta, vậy một trận gió thổi qua, Dương Lăng nghĩ tới kết quả của người nhà Cao Thái Y, không khỏi rùng mình. Y quay phát đầu nhìn về phía trước thôn. Do quá xa nên hai ngọn đèn lồng trước cửa nhà đã biến thành những điểm sáng nhạt nhòa. Dương Lăng tự cảnh tỉnh, con đường làm quan cực kỳ hung hiểm. Hôm nay ta rất oai phong ở triều đình, nhưng vạn nhất có một ngày không ổn sẽ thành ra kết cục gì? Nếu Ấu Nương của ta và những nữ hài nhi luôn luôn đi theo bên người ta cũng bị đưa đến. Lòng Dương Lăng lạnh đi. Ta không thể cứ thờ ơ như vậy, không thể chỉ dựa vào lòng tin của hoàng đế. Đời an toàn nhất cũng là nơi hung hiểm nhất. Vì an toàn của những người ta yêu dấu, ta phải nghĩ biện pháp để có năng lực tự bảo vệ. Nếu có người cố tình gây bất lợi cho ta, cho dù hắn là hoàng đế thì hắn cũng là kẻ thù của ta. Dương Lăng ta làm việc chỉ theo lương tâm, chứ không nói gì tới vua tôi, cha con cả. Không dám hành sự lỗ mãng, trước hết Dương Lăng tới chỗ Cẩm Y vệ gặp Tiền Ninh. Nghe ý nói muốn cứu công phạm Tiền Ninh cũng có vẻ sợ hãi, nhưng thằng nhãi này cũng còn có chút lương tâm. Sau mấy lần khuyên can không được, gã cũng kể cho ý rõ về mấy thứ quy định của giáo phường ti. Sau đó gã mới bảo là có chuyện quan trọng cần làm, rồi vội vàng chuồn mất. Thì ra giáo phường ti trực thuộc bộ lễ có các quan chức là Tả Hữu Thiều Vũ, Tả Hữu Tinh Nhạc, không chỉ quản lý quan kỹ nữ nhà nước, mà giáo phường ti còn là cơ quan tổ chức lễ nhạc cho triều đình. Các tiết mục âm nhạc của đại lễ cung đình đều do giáo phường ti phụ trách. Giáo phường ti phân ra hai loại là kỹ gia, tức là kỹ nữ, và nhạc gia, tức là nhạc công. Trong kỹ gia, đám con trai con gái phải sống với kiếp bán rẻ tiếng cười, mua vui cho thiên hạ. Còn đám nhạc công trong nhạc gia thì cũng giống như là nhạc kỹ bình thường. Một khi vào giáo phường ti, con cháu đời đời sẽ làm nam là nô lệ, nữ là sướng ca. Thậm chí hiện nay không có ít kỹ nữ giáo phường ti là hậu duệ của những quan lại đại thần, vương hầu đã phạm tội cả trăm năm trước. Tuy nói giáo phường ti là do Tả Hữu Thiều Vũ, Tả Hữu Ti Nhạc phụ trách, nhưng vì lễ nhạc cung đình thường thường phải do giáo phường ti phụ trách tập luyện diễn tấu, nên để tiện điều hành, trong cung còn có một vị thái giám phụ trách chỉ huy giáo phường ti. Người này mới là người cầm quyền chính thức của giáo phường Ti. Trước khi Lưu Cần từng làm thái giám chủ quản giáo phường Ti, sau vì bị người tố giác nhận hối lộ, cho nên lão bị hoàng trị miễn chức chuyển tới làm ở Trung Cổ Ti. Mỗi ngày lão cho gõ chuông đánh trống, tuy vẫn làm công việc thuộc dòng nhạc nhưng lại không có thực quyền đi trước. Vừa nghe thái giám trong cung phụ trách giáo phường Ti, Dương Lăng không khỏi mừng rỡ. Hiện nay khi y đã ra mặt, cho dù là Vương Nhạc, Vương Công Công cũng phải nề mặt vài phần, huống chi là kẻ khác. Cho dù vì y e dè chính đức nên nhất thời y không cứu người ra được, thì chỉ cần y xin thái giám chủ quản nói một câu, tạm thời không đưa Cao tiểu thư đi đón khách cũng đã là hoãn binh được một thời gian rồi. Dương Lăng suy tính xong bèn không đi giáo phường Ti nữa, mà trước hết chạy tới Hoàng Thành. Tới ngoài cửa Hoàng Thành, y mới sực nhớ ra, bây giờ cung điện đã đóng cửa, cho dù y có trình thể Nga được phép vào cung cũng đừng nghĩ tới việc kêu mở cửa cung ra được. Y không khỏi tròn mắt sững người. Giáo phường Ti ở phía nam kinh thành, 3 bước một lầu, 5 bước một viện. Ký viện Ca Lâu ở Kinh Sư phần lớn tập trung ở đây. Bên trong giáo phường Ti, hữu thiệu vũ tư công minh đang bắt chéo chân thưởng thức trà nóng, mí mắt cụp xuống hỏi người đối diện. Nhà họ Cao vẫn không có ai tới. Người đứng trước mặt lão ước chừng 50 tuổi, có 2 hàng rông dài, mặc áo ngắn, đầu đội khăn một góc màu xanh lá. Cười bồi, đại nhân, nhà họ Cao bị tịch biên gia sản không còn gì, cả nhà hoặc chết hoặc bị bán làm nô lệ, không có người bỏ tiền ra chứ. Tư Không Minh hừ một tiếng không vui. Phụ nữ ở giáo phường Ti có mấy loại ca kỹ, vũ kỹ, nhạc kỹ. Ý chỉ của hoàng thượng không nói rõ loại tiếp khách nào, cho nên giáo phường Ti có quyền ăn bài loại chức nghiệp cho cô tiểu thư này. Nếu họ Cao có thể bỏ nhiều tiền nhiều bạc đút lót cho gã, mà dù Cao tiểu thư cả đời vẫn là kỹ nữ, hơn nữa tương lai nếu lập gia đình có con có cái thì chúng vẫn tiếp tục làm nghề ca xuống. Nhưng nàng không bắt buộc phải là kỹ nữ bán mình. Tư Không Minh còn tưởng mình có thể chấm mút một chút. Bây giờ nhìn lại nhà họ Cao, quả nhiên là tường đổ người chạy, rốt cuộc không còn ai có thể đỡ một tay. Gã cầm chén trà uống rột một hơi, nhìn thấy tên kỹ nam nón xanh vẫn còn đứng trước mặt, gã không khỏi trừng mắt ra lệnh. Còn đứng đó làm gì? Đi gọi vài người tắm táp cô đại tiểu thư đó. Đêm nay treo biển hay nghe đón khách. Tên nón xanh xoa xoa tay cười su nịch. Đại nhân, con bé đó tính tình ghê lắm. Còn chúng ta không thể đắc tội với khách được. Hay là trước hết tiểu nhân mở hàng cho nàng. Phụ nữ mà, đã có một lần cô nàng cũng sẽ không còn gìn giữ gì nữa. Tư Không Minh vừa nghe thế bèn phá lên cười, đoạn vừa cười vừa mắng. Giá phường Ti chúng ta nhiều năm rồi chưa có cô gái thanh danh cao quý nào cả. Cô tiểu thư Văn Tâm này có cha là y quan, là thái hầu hạ hoàng thượng, bản thân nàng lại là một nữ thần y, có cả hàng đàn hàng lũ mong muốn thưởng thức nàng ta lắm. Không có người động vào, chỉ cần tung ra vài lời đồn, cái giá cho lần đầu thưởng thức sẽ tăng lên rất nhiều. Dương Lăng trở về trấn Phù Ti, thay áo choàng, ra lệnh cho 4 gã thân binh tạm ở lại đó, một mình chạy tới giáo phường Ti ở thành Nam. Giờ này quan chức không thể ngang nhiên vào nơi hoa bướm, huống chi đang lúc để tăng tiên đến. Tuy Dương Lăng không đi thăm kỳ nữ, nhưng tâm tình y cũng vẫn khẩn trương, cái áo vành nón rồm rộp. Mặc dù trong thành Bắc Kinh, y cũng chẳng quen biết được bao nhiêu người. Hơn nữa nếu không phải là ông lão thì cũng là lão thái giám, nhưng mà cẩn thận vẫn tốt hơn. Dương Lăng lén lén lút lút vào giáo phường Ti, y thấy có trên 10 người đàn ông cũng lén lén lút lút trước sau mò vào như y. Mỗi người đều mặc áo dài, đội mũ rộng vành, có người còn xoe quạt trên mặt, ai nấy đều lấm la lấm nét nhìn quanh. Tuy tiên đế đã mất, nhưng dân đen hạ đẳng cũng chẳng có tư cách gì để tang cho hoàng thượng, cho nên kỹ viện cứ theo lệ thường mà mở cửa. Điều ngạc nhiên chính là không hiểu sao hôm nay những người tới chơi kỹ nữ cũng đều có vẻ lén lút như y. Dương Lăng kín đáo quan sát một hồi vẫn